1976. A bus rolled down the highway overlooking the skyline of New Lansmore. Who do you think was sitting inside? It was Leonardo, finally returning home after a long journey. The moment his feet touched the neighborhood where he had grown up, he realized something. He desperately needed a haircut. His first stop was the old barber shop. The barber took one look at him and instantly recognized the young man who had left years ago. So, the war hero finally came home. With a warm smile, he gave Leonardo a fresh haircut and refused to take a single dollar for it. When he was done, Leonardo grabbed his travel bag and hopped on the subway for a short ride. His destination was Polly's nightclub. As soon as he reached the entrance, a young guard stepped in front of him. "Who are you?" Leonardo stared him straight in the eyes. "If you don't get out of my way, I'll put you on the ground." The guard immediately raised his pistol. Before the situation could explode, another guard had just arrived. Hey, don't you know who this is?" "He's family, Mr. Vincent's nephew." The young guard's expression changed instantly. He lowered his weapon, stepped aside, and apologized. Leonardo walked in, still wearing his military jacket with his travel bag slung over his shoulder. The moment Polly saw him, his eyes widened in surprise. "Oh, Leonardo, my boy, we've missed you." He wrapped him in a warm embrace. Standing nearby was the massive Tony. Looking Leonardo up and down, he asked, "So, this is him?" Polly smiled. "That's right, he's the twins' brother, just like you, a war hero, and a member of the family." Tony slowly lifted his chin with a faint, prideful smirk. "Huh? Really?" As if he wasn't entirely pleased with the comparison. Just then, Vincent rushed in after hearing the news from one of the men. With a broad, genuine smile, he opened his arms wide and hugged Leonardo tightly. "My dear nephew, I've missed you." Leonardo smiled. "I've missed you too." After more than 6 years apart, the reunion was finally complete. Leonardo then asked about his two brothers. Vincent smiled. "They're at the bar." Then he revealed the truth. Leonardo had been expecting all along. Just like him. Leonardo headed to the bar, where he found his brother Marco sitting alone behind the counter, while only a handful of customers filled the room. With a grin, Leonardo called out, "Get up, you lazy bum. Pour me a glass of wine." Marco slowly looked up. His eyes went wide. "Leo!" He bolted out from behind the counter and threw himself into his older brother's arms. The two embraced tightly, overwhelmed with joy after years apart. Marco pulled back, still smiling. "Where have you been? Why did you stay away for another year after the war? We were worried sick about you." Leonardo smiled faintly. "I missed all of you too. I just couldn't come home right away. I was in shock. I needed time, so I spent a year traveling across the USA. I passed through several cities, starting with San Fermino, then Los Avalos. While I was there, I visited Holocene. After that, I headed south and took on all kinds of jobs. Keeping myself busy helped me recover, you know what I mean." He looked around. "But where's Francesco?" Marco led him to the bar next door. Hidden behind it was a secret room packed with gamblers. Laughter, shouting, and the sound of poker chips filled the air. Francesco was running the games from the center of the room. The moment he looked up and saw Leonardo, he froze in disbelief. A second later, the two brothers embraced, laughing as if the years between them had vanished. Soon, the three brothers sat together around a table. Leonardo looked at them with a proud smile. "While I was away at war, I always knew the two of you would fight your way up and earn the family name, just like I did." He paused before continuing. "You're not kids anymore. You're grown men now. Every choice you make and every consequence that follows belongs to you." He looked at them both. "But no matter what happens, I love you and I always will." Francesco leaned forward. "So, what was Vietnam really like?" Tony came back completely out of his mind. Was it really that bad? Leonardo's smile disappeared. "It was worse. We were just 19-year-old boys thrown into a war no one truly understood. Nothing we learned in boot camp prepared us for it. The Viet Cong could appear out of the jungle without warning, open fire, and disappear in the blink of an eye. There were traps everywhere. Every single step could mean death, or losing a leg. You lived every day in constant paranoia." He let out a bitter sigh. "And that's what this government gave us." Marco and Francesco sat there in complete silence. Neither of them could take their eyes off their older brother. They simply couldn't comprehend everything he had lived through. At an apartment in the Harmon district, Lucy was rehearsing with her boyfriend, Andrew, and another young musician. The three of them were practicing a lively funk tune, their instruments filling the room with energy. Without warning, crash! The front door burst open. Marco stormed inside. He marched straight toward Lucy, grabbed her firmly by the arm, and pulled her away from the others. A moment later, Vincent entered. He seized Andrew by the front of his shirt, shoved a pistol against his forehead, and hurled a racist insult at him because he was black. "Stay away from my daughter. If I ever catch you bringing her back to this filthy apartment again, I'll kill you. And this time, I won't think twice." Andrew stood his ground despite the gun pointed at his head. "Why, Mr. Vincent? We love each other. I come from a respectable family. My father is the famous jazz musician Eddie Moore. Is this only because I'm black?" Vincent's eyes bulged with rage. A few drops of spit flew from his mouth as he completely lost control. "Shut up!" The room fell silent. Vincent turned around and walked out. Marco followed behind him, still holding Lucy by the arm until they reached the street. Lucy yanked herself free. "You don't control my life anymore." She glared at Vincent. "I'm an independent woman. This is a new era, and this is my life. I don't even consider you my father, and I hate you with all my heart." She waved down a taxi. The cab stopped beside her. Without looking back, she climbed in and slammed the door shut. Vincent remained frozen in place, silently watching the taxi disappear into the distance. Marco gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Come on, Vincent, let's go." "You know how she is. She's always angry. She doesn't realize how lucky she is to still have her father." He lowered his head for a moment. "I wish my own father were still here with me today." Near the marina overlooking the sea, just outside downtown, Lucy wandered alone. She strolled quietly along the waterfront, her eyes distant, lost in thought. Without warning, two men grabbed her from behind. It was Joe and Louis. Louis pressed a knife close to her and whispered, "Don't scream." Moving quickly, they forced her onto a boat. A blindfold was tied tightly over her eyes. Throughout the journey, all she could hear was the roar of the engine and the endless crashing of the waves. After several minutes, the boat finally stopped. Someone removed the blindfold. Lucy blinked as her eyes adjusted to the darkness. She found herself in an unfamiliar basement, tied securely to a chair. Standing before her was the boss himself, Salvatore. Joe and Louis stood silently at his sides. Lucy recognized him immediately. "Mr. Giordano?" Salvatore nodded. "Yes." He took a slow breath before speaking. "Not a single day has passed without me thinking about my daughter. She'd be your age today, if she were still alive. In my eyes, she is still alive. I see her everywhere. Morning and night, she never leaves my thoughts. Sometimes she appears in my dreams, like an angel." His voice became heavier. "I've spent years searching for the person responsible for poisoning her. I questioned people, followed every lead, uncovered every secret I could, and every road led me to the same suspect. You." Lucy burst into tears. I see Sarah too. Sometimes she appears in my dreams, but not as an angel, as a nightmare. She asks me terrifying questions, over and over." Joe suddenly lost his patience. "Tell him the truth, you bitch. Enough with the nonsense." Salvatore shot him a cold look. "Quiet, Joe." He turned back to Lucy, his voice calm once again. "She's going to tell us the truth. Isn't that right, my dear? Take your time. No one is going to hurt you." Lucy struggled to catch her breath before finally speaking. "My father gave me a liquid. He told me it was just a sleeping drug. He threatened me. He said he'd destroy my future, end my university education, and throw me out of the house." She lowered her head in shame. When you're a young girl, being forced out of university feels like being thrown out of heaven and straight into hell. He manipulated me. He lied to me. Sarah was in the same class as I was. I poured a few drops of that liquid into her drink. And what happened, happened. She could barely continue through her tears. I've regretted it every single day. I never meant to kill that innocent girl. The room fell silent. Salvatore stared at Lucy without blinking. Tears slowly rolled down his face. He drew his pistol and aimed it directly at her forehead. Joe and Louis watched eagerly, waiting for the sound of the trigger. Lucy closed her eyes. She completely surrendered herself to her fate. A long silence followed. Then, to everyone's astonishment, Salvatore lowered the gun. He slipped it back into his jacket. "I won't give you what you want." Without another word, he turned and walked toward the basement door. Joe and Louis stood frozen in disbelief. Joe finally broke the silence. "Boss, forgive me, but have you lost your mind? After all these years, you finally know the truth." Salvatore stopped without turning around. "Don't hurt her. Keep her here in the basement. Bring her something to eat. I'm going somewhere, and I don't want anyone to tube." Salvatore drove alone through the city, completely lost in his thoughts. His mind was so far away that he almost struck an elderly woman crossing the street. At the very last second, he slammed on the brakes. The old woman shouted insults at him from the middle of the road, but Salvatore barely seemed to notice. He simply drove away. A few blocks later, he pulled over on a quiet street. He lit a cigar and sat in silence, staring into nothing. A moment later, a young woman wearing revealing clothes approached his car. Salvatore lowered the driver's window. She smiled. "Hey, handsome, looking for some company?" He motioned for her to get in. Once she was seated, he asked, "What's your name?" She smirked. "We don't have time for that. $10 for a kiss, 20 if you want to touch. So it's 50 or more if you want to take things further." Salvatore handed her a $10 bill. Then he calmly repeated his question. "What's your name?" She hesitated before answering. "Rachel." Salvatore looked at her quietly. "I know that's not your real name. I know who you are, and I know your family." The smile faded from her face. "My real name is Sarah." A gentle smile appeared on Salvatore's face. "Sarah? That was my daughter's name." He paused for a moment. "How old are you?" 19. A tear slowly rolled down his cheek. She was 19 when she died. Sarah's expression softened. "I'm sorry? Are you okay?" Salvatore nodded. "Yes." He reached into his pocket and handed her $200. Sarah's eyes widened in disbelief. "What?" Salvatore smiled faintly. "I knew your father, and your older sister studied with my daughter." He took another slow puff from his cigar. "But let's not reopen old wounds." He looked at her. "Will I see you here tomorrow?" She smiled. "Of course." "Good." He unlocked the passenger door. "You can go now." She looked at him, confused. "You don't want anything from me?" Salvatore shook his head. "I do. Don't spend that money on anything that will destroy your life. That's the only favor I'm asking." Sarah smiled gratefully. "Thank you." She stepped out of the car. Salvatore watched her disappear down the sidewalk before quietly driving away into the night. Back in the basement, Salvatore found Lucy slumped in her chair, fighting to stay awake. A half-eaten sandwich rested on a plate beside her. He gently woke her up, untied her hands, and led her outside. Joe was already waiting in the car. The three of them drove toward a neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, not far from the Flax district. Lucy had told them exactly where her father lived. When they arrived, Salvatore walked to the front door and knocked. A woman answered. The moment she saw two strangers holding her daughter, her face turned pale. "Vincent!" Her scream echoed through the house. Vincent rushed into the hallway, pistol already in his hand. In an instant, Salvatore grabbed Lucy and pressed his gun against her head. At the same time, Joe aimed his pistol directly at Vincent. Silence swallowed the room. Then, Salvatore suddenly shoved Lucy toward her father. "I'm not like you. I don't treat the lives of women and children as if they're worthless. I know everything now." She told me the whole truth. The truth I've suspected all these years has finally come to light. You were the one responsible for my daughter's death. You and your damned boss, Paulie. He stared Vincent straight in the eyes. And I was the one who killed his son. I made him disappear for more than 9 years. You couldn't bury him. You couldn't even visit his grave, because there was never a grave to visit. A tense smile spread across Vincent's face. "So, our instincts were right all along. The boss always believed it was you. As the saying goes, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and even child for child." Salvatore's expression darkened. "I didn't make him disappear without a reason. My daughter was still a minor. He clung to her like glue. He was a grown man who kept harassing her and trying to manipulate her. She told me everything. I went to your damned boss more than once. He didn't care. So I took justice into my own hands." After a long moment, Salvatore slowly lowered his weapon. Without another word, he turned around. Joe followed him. The two men walked away. The front door slammed shut behind them as Vincent hurried to lock it. His wife remained frozen in shock, unable to process what had just happened. Then Vincent turned toward Lucy, his face twisted with rage. "Look at the disaster you brought into this house today." Lucy shouted back just as fiercely. "I was kidnapped because of you. I almost died. Where were you? Every problem we face, every danger that follows us in the streets, it's because of you. Because of you and your damned Moretti family." Without thinking, Vincent struck her across the face. His wife immediately stepped between them. "She's right." "Stay away from her, Vincent." Vincent stood there trembling. His face turned bright red as he clutched his head with both hands. Another horrifying realization had just hit him. Now the DeLuca Mafia knew exactly where he lived, and they could come for him at any moment. The following morning, Vincent arrived at the boss's headquarters. Paulie was sitting behind his desk, quietly going through paperwork. Vincent walked across the room without saying a word. When he reached the desk, he leaned down close to Paulie's ear and whispered in a low voice, "Boss, there's something I need to tell you."